Hello there, Tubitonians, you and otherwise. Short talk by the Rio with the old guy, or with an old guy, unidentified. This is Picacho crossing the river. River's still running full tilt after all these weeks, which is surprising to me. I found a bottle of water down here. I'm not sure I care about any of that, but the nice thing is, I could set it down and it becomes a kind of a stand. I'm in a little picnic table deal, and that way I can kind of lean over and, slouch. I like slouching. Just wanted to talk with you all a little bit about what's going on, and I just thought, boy, there's so many things happening in our world today. Now, I didn't watch the so-called debate, and I didn't watch the Tucker and DJT thing either. I'm just kind of listening after the fact, and it sounds like, in terms of if there was a ratings war, a ratings championship, it sounds like DJT and Tucker just took the prize. I think they're saying now something in excess of 250 million views, and probably still growing, to be honest with you. And they just they ate the lunch of Fox News in terms of viewership. So it makes you wonder whether the old TV syndrome is going to slowly pass away. I'm old enough to remember 8-track tapes and then cassette tapes, which were far better. And all those cassette tapes and all, they had this funny hiss in the background. It was like a white noise, and the only way you could get around it was to go back to a clean LP with a true diamond stylus on the needle. You could get a clean sound there without that white noise. And all that stuff's just gone away. And I'm wondering if maybe TV and cable news are on the way out. They can't keep up. And it just seemed funny to me. But the one I'm interested in thinking about a little bit today is, and I'm not here to endorse a candidate yet. It's way too early for that. Besides that, I really don't believe. Who I think is sane on this is Roseanne Barr. Roseanne does not believe there's going to be an election in 2024, and I concluded that probably about 7 months ago, when I began to look at what was actually brewing up. The powers that be, whoever they are, those toads. Toads. There's honest toads everywhere that just got, deeply offended that I compared them with, what. But neither one of them, the candidates, as I see, either DJT or Robert Kennedy, the powers that be cannot tolerate these guys either way. But there's another guy now that I'm wondering whether they can't tolerate or not, and I can't put my finger on it just yet. There's something about, I was calling him in my last vid VR, and I think I'm just going to call him that because Vivek Ramaswamy is a interesting dude. He really is, and boy, he's all over this algorithm. Just scroll through YouTube. He's all over the interweb. He's hot stuff, right? He's a hot property right now, and from what I understood, he pretty much mopped the floor with these neocon party hacks. Like, what's that old fart's name? Mike Dunce. Why didn't that guy just get an honest job? Walmart's probably hiring greeters and stuff. But you have these so-called public servants who, oddly enough, after a lifetime of never working for a living, end up multimillionaires. Take Nancy Pelosi as an example, Chuck Schumer, a whole bunch, not to mention the poodle. And you end up with this weird situation where, your salary was X, and how did you end up a multimillionaire again? And we'll just call it investments wisely placed in time. But that's not the same as insider trading. No, nothing could be further from the truth. And so, I did see an interesting post that, it's true. And I believe this as well. The law says that treason is still punishable by death here late in 2023. We might want to remember that. The poodle has, just gone off the rails. I mean, if you're looking at, as an example, I'm changing subject, I'm just kind of mixing things up here a little bit, but if you're looking at, say, the Maui fires, somebody issued an order. Who was it? During the heat, when the fire took off and just blew up. I mean, I saw videos, one video I'm saying, of that fire, and I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was leaping like 60 and 100 feet forward at a time. It looked like a huge turbo torch. Unreal. I can't, that must have been terrifying being around that thing, watching it roll by. But at any rate, some people threw themselves right into the water in the ocean, and they saved themselves. But I saw photos. This does seem just a tad suspicious to me. Boats away from the shore, hundreds of yards away, burning. How did that happen? How did the heat ignite boats hundreds of yards away from the shore? Something just ain't right here. It ain't fit. But at any rate, so treason is still an option. Well, the question I'm asking is, who authorized shutting off the water? Who? Give me a name. The guy who did the job. He just kind of, I guess it's time for me to retire. And he quit. He walked off. What? Wait a minute. Come back here. There's going to be an investigation, I would hope. If the so-called governor of Hawaii had a pair, there would be an investigation, and they would get to the bottom of this, and they would find, I think, that there's something more to this fire than an accident. Well, I think the poodle was involved as well. The whole federal government. I mean, FEMA has come in there. They're living in like the Four Seasons. They're living in $1,200-$1,300, maybe even more, per night to stay. That's where FEMA is staying. Meanwhile, the citizens of Hawaii are given per household $700. That's it. That's all the government's going to do for them. There's something wrong here, something evil. And I got to thinking about it. Maybe the word evil needs to be respelled. Maybe we should learn to spell it E-V-U-L. Oh my golly, look at that sunshine. Ugh. This is going to brighten up here real quick. Hey, I know. I'll just roll around the corner. I'll just kind of sit here sideways. There you go. So anyhow, thinking about that kind of stuff, and such a horrible political environment, surrounded by liars, murderers, perverts. Ugly. Damn ugly. And so I just thought, what am I going to do today? I thought, it's Saturday. I guess I could pull some weeds. We had a little bit of a rain last night. Boom, crash, here it comes. And this is the way it rains around here. It's very rare for a nice, slow, kind of digestible to the earth rain. I mean, it comes down in, boom, buckets. And I'm so surprised. I looked out the window last night and went, where'd that come from? It's suddenly Idaho Street is a river. And it's kind of crazy. But we've got things we need to do day by day, but as you look at the situation around us, the political situation, I mean, I see a few bright stars here and there, and I'm not a huge fan of DJT. I like him okay, and he is funny to watch, interesting dude, but I don't like the way he handled this CV thing. He put that little fraud, that little rat face. That guy is like the highest paid bureaucrat in the federal government. Serial liar. He's that guy belongs in federal prison, or again, treason. I think we could apply it there. Well, none of that's going to happen. None of these people are ever going to pay. Biden is going to be retired out, and he can go to pasture, and he can go sleep on the beach every day for all I care. Let him sleep there forever. I don't care. But he won't pay. None of them will. Because the system's rigged. The system's crooked. If you're a small-time crook and you hold up a Circle K for $40 and a bottle of whiskey, well, you're going to do time. But, you murder people, by the thousands, and they call you a leader. And so the thing is that I just thought, well, hey, a lot of bicyclers out here today. Look at it, we got a whole slug of them. It's that nice little bike trail I like to walk along, and I got to thinking maybe I will walk a little bit later. There they go. Let's see if you can see them folks rolling away, willy-nilly. There they go. It must be 12, 14 of them. Hey, heck, here comes some more. So maybe they got some kind of little community or a group or something that like to go biking. I don't know. And I just wanted to think today a little bit about, we don't give hope the right place in our hearts. I think hope is not necessarily that, I'm going to get a raise and, my skin cleared up and blah, blah, blah. And necessarily, what it is hope is something else, that there's help coming from outside of what you could do, and yet that is not an excuse or reason to do nothing. I think so often what's happened with the Christian church is it's developed an apolitical stance because there's 501c3 to consider, and an apolitical stance, it breeds for a passivity. It breeds for well, let's hope something changes. And when they say let's hope something changes, that means A, I'm not going to do anything. B, I hope somebody else does something who happens to own a backbone. And you can't even give that stuff away. Nobody. That's not the good news, by the way. That is not the good news. Jesus didn't come all the way down here to say, well, here's what I want you to do. When you're surrounded by deep corruption and murderers, to kind of like whistle in the dark and hope it goes away. No, they need to be taken out with effective force and legal sanction. These people who are involved in pumping so-called therapy, mystery drugs that arrived from nowhere. No, they didn't. They developed them over the last 40 years, at least. And these things that are dealing with the structure of your DNA is being altered. Bad idea. And whoever they are, there's talk about development of a whole slug of brand new stuff coming out, starting with a little M, ending up with a big A at the end. You know what I'm talking about? And these therapies, there was a guy named Malone who basically developed the original idea on how to do this stuff. Oh boy, she's getting bright. One of the reasons I sat down here was that I was in the shade. Let me move around here a little bit, see if I can relocate. I think I'll leave the bottle of water. I don't know who left that water here. Hey, look, there's one over here. Let's see if we can find a place to sit down. Well, maybe I will grab that bottle of water. Yeah, I'm going to grab it, and then I'll leave it over there. I'm not much of a fan of, what do you call it? This one's called sport water. Give me a break. But basically all they're selling is that it's highly alkaline, like pH 9. I'm not sure that's so good for you. But anyway, I think the best water would be spring water, come bubbling right up out of the ground. Hard to find that stuff. They want to put chlorine, fluoride, and who knows what else in that water. Probably hormones by now. Here, let's throw a little estrogen in there and just see what happens. Let's try this table instead. Hey, look at this guy. I want you to take a look at this dude. Some kind of leafy bug. I'm going to let it roll this right near, mind his own business. That is a bug. Looks like a leaf. I like to leave bugs alone. He's probably out here hunting other bugs. You know what I mean? Got a job to do. Bug alone. Anyway, just sitting there thinking some about this political situation we got now, and I don't want to slander or cast stones at VR. I don't know how to say this, but does it seem sometimes that some people are just a little too good? I mean, look in the dictionary under charisma, and there's a picture of this guy. I mean, well, maybe it isn't quite like that, but human beings are flawed. We call it sin, but it manifests in a whole bunch of different ways. And I mean, this guy's smart. He's quick on his feet, and he has a tremendous array of ability to deal with almost any kind of political question, maybe even scientific questions, marketing questions. I mean, it's like, how can all this stuff reside in between your ears? Doesn't it get a little crowded in there? And so, I don't know. He might be okay, but I've got one eye open, keeping an eye on this guy. I don't trust people who have it all together. I don't trust people who project a persona that there's really nothing at all wrong with me, because I can tell you right now, straight up, there's a lot that's wrong with me. And, you know, a lot of it I wish maybe I could do better, and maybe I wish I'd done different. You know, I think to some degree, the sense that we have as human beings is that, and this is a sense that we should really keep in us, that, face it, if it's a question, if it's a contest of whether I'm good enough or whether I'm smart enough or, you know, smell good enough or have the right political views or something, I don't count. In other words, I don't meet the metric anywhere. The only metric I meet is I'm a fallen human being in need of help, and I have called to the Maker, and I believe He heard, and I'm so thankful for it. He's the best. The story isn't about stars. It isn't about heroes. It isn't about great ones among us. The story is about the great King and how He came into a world wrecked, into a kind of this strange position where the humans, that's us, you and me, somehow got turned almost kind of inside out, or they were made dead while they were alive, or I had a lot of little bugs floating around in my face. Ugh, these little gnats are going crazy. So I might have to keep moving here after a while. These guys are ganging up. I can feel them tickling my head. Anyhow, they're just bugs. And that guy's still sitting there. I guess he's waiting for one of them to come by. But when I run across people who are just, I call it glow coat. There used to be I think there was a product like that, and I think it had to do with floors, like a floor shine me up product, glow coat. But kind of making that up. I don't really remember that. It seems like it. But at any rate, looking at these glow coat people, there really aren't that many of them. And usually what happens is they end up in a Hollywood franchise kind of thing where they become stars. You know, their faces everywhere, and that big smile, and those huge white teeth, and those sparkling eyes, and whatever. I don't trust that. I think that real people remember that they're related to real people, and the real people we're related to, everybody's got issues. In my humble opinion, by the way, that is a sign of a good cigarette. Is that if you don't tug on it, it'll put itself out. Well, maybe it's just because it's humid today. That little bit of rain, boom, boom. So at any rate, to me, that's a sign of a good cigarette. In other words, they put these burned chemicals into factory cigarettes so that even if you set it down, it just smokes itself, essentially. And they know how long that will take, too. They time them. These things are laced with all kinds of crazy chemicals beyond tobacco as a sort of burn control stuff. Terrible ideas. A lot of terrible ideas. Tobacco probably ain't the best thing for you, but if it was just tobacco and just paper, that would be a different deal. But you know, it's funny, they'll charge you a premium for that. Years ago, I used to smoke Camel non-filters, and because really all I was interested in was tobacco and paper. That's all. I didn't want your chemicals, and those are about the most expensive cigarettes on the market. It's like we're gonna charge you extra for just tobacco. Yep, crooked. And so anyhow, just thinking about it some, I just wanted to just I don't know. I'm not going to hold out hope for this nation anymore. And that's kind of what this was about today. Our version of hope is just wrong. When we think about hope for this nation, we think, well, maybe these crooked politicians will finally be locked up. Maybe finally all the evil investors, say BlackRock and Vanguard and all those other bastards that are linked with this Wi-Fi group, Klaus and company, that whole house of cards is coming down because their money is junk. Their money isn't backed with anything. It's just invented out of thin air. And so it's based upon the premise of scarcity. How few of these can we put into circulation and still keep the thing going? And so they become valuable by virtue of their scarcity. That's the way I see it. And even the artifact itself, they want to make that go away so that it's pure just ones and zeros, cyber digital junk. There is no artifact even. And forget about the idea of backing the ones and zeros with gold. If you want that, you're going to have to go to bricks. And it's so weird. The Chinese, the Russians, the Indians, the Brazilians, and now the South Africans, the Saudis are on board. I think Qatar, I think how you say that. There's country after country trying to line up under BRICS, and the U.S. dollar as a world reserve currency is going to become history. And so if we have a phony baloney view of hope, we'll say, well, I hope that our people can get it together and understand that money doesn't work as a figment of your imagination. It has to be based on real value. Real value is, what is it? Is it oil? Is it wheat? Is it silver? Is it gold? Is it real estate? Is it coal? In other words, something of real value backs the money. And they've chosen, whoever they are, gold is the go-to. Now, silver would work, except silver is far more common and therefore not as worth as much. Well, plus silver is an excellent metal. You can use it for all kinds of stuff, especially in electronics and stuff. But to say that we hope that the U.S. comes back to where it was a great land, I think it's done. I think that's history. That USA is gone, and it ain't coming back. And so the one that's coming is going to be way more screamingly butt ugly even than the one we're viewing right now, where people get burned alive, little children get burned alive, and the so-called police captain, that crooked SOB, has his squad cars keeping them in the burn area. I hope they get to the bottom of that. See, that's all wrong. Hope isn't built that way. Like maybe, we could collectively pull our heads out and realize we're surrounded by criminals who need to pay. Nah, that ain't gonna happen. The crooks, they own all the cards, even though they're imaginary. And hope means help coming in from the outside. And so we are to stand as sentinels or guardians, and as watchmen on the walls, and to warn the people. The enemy has breached through the gates. They're on the inside of the city now. And evil is erupting around us on a daily basis. And it all has the same stench. Smells like the nobody downstairs and his armpit. Smells like shameful sexual junk done, little kids and babies involved. Sounds like experimentation on people, whether they want it or not, with cocktails of drugs. Sounds like gross grand theft, land deals being made. Sounds like murder for profit. Sounds like weapons of mass destruction, cluster bombs being sold. Why? Because they make money. And we hope all that goes away. No. Hope doesn't function that way. Hope is a mister. It's Mr. Hope to you. And his hope is that we shall stand up again. He shall stand on this earth and authoritatively call, and his children shall stand up. From across this age and around this world, from every race and tribe, they shall be stood up as one folk in him. And they shall be glorious to behold, by the way, but nowhere near as glorious as him, of course. But the hope is that he hears those who are being crushed and burned alive. And there shall come a day of recompense. The Bible says it's going to be a dark day, a horrible day, a day of terror, a day where people will be essentially crapping their trousers in terror, just absolute loss of self-control, bladder control, among others. When he comes, all this evil comes crashing down, and I mean now, and forevermore. It'll never rise again. Our hope has a name. It's Yeshua, they say. I like to just go ahead and translate the name. His name comes out, I am who is the Savior, or I am saving. That's the guy's name. Can you imagine being at a potluck, you have those stupid little stickers? You know what I put on mine? I have attempted to, hi, my name is, and I always put CHOPTLIVVER, chopped liver. What am I, chopped liver? Well, as a matter of fact, yes. So, I just want to have a little message of hope here today that these evil, twisted bastards, these lying sods, these murderers, they shall have their day. But in light of that, how terrific that is. The Messiah is this good. He says, pray for your enemies. Pray for them. Why? Because the terror of that day, I would wish upon no man. Indeed, it was designed for the enemy and for the slaves that fell with him from on high. They have no hope, and they know it. Their time is short. But the humans are being sheared off day by day. The Lord Yeshua is winning in this race, hands down. He's capturing hearts and minds around the world, and they can't stop him. There's nothing that any government authority on the planet can do to halt the growth of the Christian faith. Not even the CCP, the most degraded, egregious country on the planet. By the way, I just wanted to mention to you, this is so weird. It's about 12:47 this morning. 47 minutes after midnight. I got up in the middle of the night, I slept for about 3 hours. It felt pretty good. I'm going to sit down and have a drink of water, smoke a cigarette, and looked at a couple of videos. I don't know, had nothing else to do. Phone rings. What? And I'm looking at this number, and it comes in from China. China? Who in China is calling me at 12:47? So I listened. There was no voicemail left afterwards, and I have no idea what that was about. But I was just sitting there thinking to myself, what? Why is someone from China calling me, Mike Labor, at 12:47 in the morning? Well, actually at night, I guess you'd say. I have no idea. No idea. And then there's this weird lady that keeps bugging me from the U.S. Census Bureau. She wants to know about this property where I'm at, where I live, that little blown-up trailer. And it's like she wanted to have a series of 4 meetings with me over the next 4 months. I said, no. I said, I don't even... What do you guys... Look at your own records, your own census records. How many people have lived here the last 40 years? Well, I've been here 38. 1, 1, and 1. Nothing's changed. Consult your own records. Quit bothering me. And I was actually kind of harsh with her, kind of short. She was a nice enough lady, but... I don't care about the census. And I told her, I said, why are you even bothering with this census count? Why don't you just go down to the border and count all the illegals that the Biden administration is escorting in? Why don't you count those guys, huh? What are you bothering working stiffs for? I don't think she appreciated the humor. But phone call from China and being bothered by the Census Bureau and all having to figure out VR all at once. I think the reasonable thing to do is pull weeds. And that's a little bit of what we're doing. You know what I mean? That's what life is, in a sense, is that you're not going to fix the world. You're not going to straighten up everybody, but you can make your bed. You could tie your shoes. You can pull the weeds. You can get the trash out of your house. You could, even wash your car. You can do things that build on order and on family and on tradition. You can do things that help for health or to get nutrition or rest. And you can do those things. And if you're called upon to do greater things, then do them well. Do them thoroughly. Do them right. And then have the courage to stand behind it and say, it's right. I say so. I did it. That's what he's building. He's building hopeful people. But hopeful people don't live in a parallel universe where they think everything's going to work out just fine. No. The world's going to come slam, bam, crash down. And the weird thing is the world's never going to see it. It's like a bear trap. Gotcha. Speaking of bear trap, I'm going to head up to bear trap at the end of September. I'll talk about that more in the future. It's a camp outside of Colorado Springs. A lot of old friends from 40 years ago are getting together. We were working together way back then on a log building, and kind of looking forward to that trip. Haven't seen these folks in years and years and years. And so it's nice that we've got a brother who's willing to organize this, make the invitations and set up and do all the legwork. So I'm thankful for Steve. And it's one of those things where hope says there's better days coming, but they're not of my doing. But I shall certainly enjoy them because they're a gift. Every day's a gift. Life is the gift, and he's the gift giver. So learn to offer the proper sacrifice, the sacrifice of thanksgiving. I give thanks to you, great God Almighty, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. There's none like you. You're the champ. You're the best. That's all. And it's such a privilege to have anything at all to do with you. And I can't do much, but what I do, I pray that you help me do well. That's, I think, some thoughts for today. How about that? Go pull your own weeds.